Hello everyone, welcome back. You're watching Empyrion Galactic Survival episode 172. I'm Enigmaeus and today we're looking at a new build. It's a new capital vessel build. It's not going to be a very large capital vessel as our capital vessels tend to go, but it is going to be one of those things that I take on in the name of a challenge, specifically trying to focus on key details of something that I do all the time, which is curves and round shapes, and try and do the best that I possibly can at sort of setting those up and executing them in a way that's believable and aesthetically pleasing. So I've started with the basic chassis layout, as I'm often inclined to do. The circles this time around, I'm not doing freehand. I'm getting the layout from plots.co.uk. That's the site that I always use whenever I want a little bit of guidance and a little bit of instruction on how to produce a particular shape of a particular size. And the reason why I'm doing it is I wanted to make sure that whatever I start off with is as close to geometric perfection as I can get under the circumstances. And then I would take it from there and do what I can to refine it so it gets even closer, as opposed to what we have here, which is obviously not very good. I mean, that doesn't look like a part of a circle at all, but it does look like a line that's part of a shape that, if you look at it from the appropriate distance, resembles a circle. I started with the largest circle first, the outer perimeter. Basically, it was going to end up a UFO, kind of flying saucer shaped kind of ship. And what I actually did, well, you can see here, is I took a screenshot from way up in the air, looking down at it to get a look at what the circle looked like from a distance. And then I used Photoshop to overlay a circle around that one as close as I could so that it was sort of touching the high points to illustrate the areas where things didn't quite line up to the perfect example, so to speak. And what I came up with was all these little areas where there are gaps that needed to be filled in order to bring us closer to a perfect circle. So then I went around and I filled in all of these areas. All of this stuff that you see on this very middle layer, where it sort of builds out a little bit, is intended to fill one of those gaps. And in the end, I think what I came up with is something that's pretty darn close. It does a pretty good job of mimicking a circle, especially if we were to go from a high enough altitude. If you go far enough away, it looks like anything, really. But you can kind of get what I'm referring to. You can see those sections where I've sort of extended it out just a little bit to fill those little gaps that we saw when we had our own circle overlaid over what was in the game. And we get something that's much, much closer to an actual circle. And we're going to be doing the same thing with this medium-sized circle in here until we arrive at the basics of the chassis layout that we can then use to continue on with the rest of the build. Now, I'm not planning on any major additions to this. Based on what you see here, it's still going to be, relative to the status quo, a fairly large capital vessel. It's not going to be this high up off the ground. It's not going to be up on stilts like this when it's done. It's going to be quite a bit lower to the ground. And I think in terms of size, this is plenty for what we would need. It's not going to have room for a big growing area. It doesn't have to have a big growing area. It's going to have room for all of the thrusters we need, the power generation, the fuel storage, oxygen, containers for whatever we want to carry around, warp drive, all that stuff we can have built in with room to spare, I would suspect. But it's just not going to be the gargantuan sort of thing that we've been doing with our capital vessels for the last little while. It's going to be more of a functional ship that most people should be able to bring into their worlds without special permissions or using console commands to spawn it in. So the next episode, you're going to see basically whatever refinements I can muster onto this. You'll see these upper and lower circles, the one up top and the identical one underneath, in a more refined state. You may even see the entire hull closed off and all we would have left from that point would be the interior sort of tweaking and adjusting and getting it laid out the way that we want. This could be one of the fastest capital vessel builds that I've ever done, and it will hopefully be kind of cool and kind of fun. A good ship to fly around in and just kind of, you know, enjoy the shape without having to have, you know, a supercomputer to keep the thing running at a decent frame rate. So, if you want to be notified about the next episode and future episodes in this and other series, as always, the easiest way to do that is to subscribe to my channel or follow me on social media. Links for social media are always in the information section below the video. Feel free to leave your comments and feedback. Thanks for watching, guys, and take care.